Good morning and welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR. And we just had Veterans Day on Saturday, and of course, an important birthday on Friday as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And with that in mind, we have welcomed Carlos Torres with VAREP to the program this morning. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the time for this. Thank you. And
Uh,
yes, Friday was the Marine Corps birthday. So
Yes, Friday was the Marine Corps birthday. I know you were celebrating, and then of course we had Veterans Day on Saturday, and many were celebrating and honoring our veterans over the weekend. And the work that you do at VA Rep, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, the work you do at VA Rep is so valuable to both veterans and real estate professionals. So we're excited for you to share that information with us today.
yes, ma'am, as am I.
Very good. Well, before we get into all of that, though, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Carlos Torres. I am the Government Affairs Director for VAREP Houston. I am from Houston. I was born and raised here. In 2009, I joined the Marine Corps. I served as an infantry Marine until 2014. After I got out, I was, pursuing my degrees. I did, obtain my master's in security management. And then in 2020, when COVID happened, I decided to switch over to real estate. I had a passion for, helping others, and especially veterans. So I took it upon myself to become a loan processor. So I learned a lot about the back end of loans, what it takes to close a loan, the things we need for loans, and the reasons why we need certain things for underwriters. And then I took that and I went and got my license to become a licensed loan officer. So again, currently I'm on the board of directors for VA Rep Houston, and I really just did this because it gives me an opportunity to give back to the veteran community.
That's wonderful. And thank you, of course, for your service. A few people thanking you for your service in the comments as well.
Thank you.
So you mentioned a little bit about wanting to give back. So that's why you chose to get involved with VA Rep? And then why did you decide to move into, you said you're the governmental affairs director. Why did you decide to move into a leadership position with VA Rep?
So I do come from a military family. My parents both serve in the Army. My sister served in the Navy, and I have a number of cousins that are either active or veterans themselves. And getting out of the military, your benefits aren't really preached to you as far as what it takes to get a home loan or anything like that. So when I purchased my home, I was not in the industry yet. So I was taken aback as far as no communication or really bad communication when it came to the things I needed for a VA home loan. So I did a lot of research, how to do a lot of things by myself to learn. So why I really got into what VA Rep does is because it gives back to the veteran community. I'm now able to teach the veterans what I didn't know, and that's all I really do. All I really do is learn and then teach them the things that I've learned. And it's amazing how much of an impact that can have on somebody to ease their mind when it comes to making a purchase, as large as it is to purchase a home.
Mm-hmm.
And why I took a leadership role for government affairs is because I want to make a big impact when it comes to the VA home loan. Not only just education, but as far as trying to pass bills when it comes to through Congress. So
Mm-hmm.
currently we have two bills going through Congress right now, and it's my job to reach out to our local representatives to have them review the bills and then become our co-sponsors,
Mm-hmm.
which we have obtained co-sponsors in Congress to back us. So it's very exciting. It can be stressful at the same time, but it allows me to give back to the veteran community.
Well, that's wonderful. And from somebody who experienced it firsthand, I'm sure you are well aware of the many questions that a veteran may have when they're going to purchase a home, when they're going to try to apply for a loan. And we're going to talk about some of those questions today and even some misconceptions, because we definitely know there's some misconceptions within the industry. So tell us just kind of starting at the basis here, what is VA Rep and what does VA Rep do? What is the goal of VA Rep?
So we are a 501c nonprofit organization. We're actually the only nonprofit organization that is tailored toward VA home education and financial literacy. We do take that to heart as well. There are a number of organizations out there now that help veterans with getting a disability using the the GI Bill, which is for education. But there's really nothing there for financial literacy or home
Mm-hmm.
loan education. So what I've realized, like I said, on my personal experience, is that the VA has a ton of misconceptions. So what we do is we go out, we do host mixers and education events because we just want to meet people where they're at and educate real estate professionals along with veterans and active duty service members.
Very good. Well, thank you. And we did post a link to the VA Rep website in the comments for anyone who wants to take a look at what they have there to offer. Now, I know you experience this firsthand, but I'm sure you also see it every day now in your professional life. But what are some of the top concerns that you find veterans have when it comes to purchasing a home?
I would say the top three concerns that I can think of is loan officers talking veterans out of VA home loans, which to me is even insane to think about. It's easier to qualify somebody on a VA home loan than it is any other loan in this market. The VA home loan doesn't have a max debt to income ratio. It doesn't have a minimum credit score. Who does have those are the lenders that they choose. So your
Mm-hmm.
lender may not go down to a 580 or may not go down to a 520. My manager's done a VA loan at 520 credit score because his lender allowed him to. So when a veteran gets turned down, he automatically thinks, or he or she automatically thinks they can no longer, they don't qualify for a VA home loan and they give up the search,
Mm-hmm.
which is, not true at all. And then also you'll see it all the time. When I was searching for homes myself on HAR, um, listing agents not accepting VA home loans on certain homes. And they, most of the time, these houses are sound. They're good houses. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with the house. But they've been told, by their mentors or anybody that has educated them that the VA home loan is a bad loan. That if you put a VA home loan on there, your seller's going to get mad because it's going to become delayed, or they're not going to pass the appraisal, or the appraisal is going to come in super low, which
Mm-hmm.
is not true. I've done a VA loan myself in 14 days. So you can do these things. It's what I honestly believe is that a loan officer or any real estate professional, it's easy to blame the VA.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I've realized in this industry, and just to be frank, like a lot of people don't hold themselves accountable. Like when I mess up, I call people and I say I messed up. But I've seen a lot of loan officers say, "Hey, the VA messed up. This is on the VA," when it's not the case, and then it puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two ones. And then I would also say that uh, veterans not knowing that they even qualify, like they can qualify for the VA home loan. They don't understand that, you serve 90 days during active duty, wartime, you automatically qualify for the VA home loan. But they don't know that. No,
Mm-hmm.
there's, like I said, there's no real education on it coming out of the military. So when you're in the military, they don't teach you these things at all. Like you don't know what your benefits are when you get out. It's definitely gotten a lot better since I've gotten out, but it's definitely something that if we can help, we definitely will. So just letting veterans know where they can go get their certificate of eligibility, and then what it takes for them to qualify. So those are like the
Yeah.
three that I would say are the most that hurt veterans when it comes to the VA home loan.
Yeah, and those are all great points. And I want to get into misconceptions here in just a second, but I wanted to just mention one quick comment that came in from Zariah. She said, "My sellers just accepted a VA loan. Let's get out warriors in homes." So
I
that's
appreciate
great.
that.
Absolutely. So, what are you mentioned probably one or two maybe already some misconceptions about the length. But what are some misconceptions that you find realtors or even veterans might have about the process of working with a VA loan or even a realtor working with a veteran client?
So I would say that I get a lot of phone calls because of my social media. I'm the veteran loan officer on there, so I do get a lot of phone calls when it comes to veterans and from realtors asking me questions, which I do not mind helping at all. But what's a little bit concerning about that is, I mean, I don't mind them coming to me, obviously, but um, it people view veterans like they only want to work with veterans, or they view veterans in a different light when they get a
Mm,
veteran client. And veterans are just people. We're just the same people like everybody else. We don't always want to work with veterans. I know veterans that don't want to work with veterans, but I mean, at the same time, we do have a specific way that we like to talk to each other. We can communicate well with each other. But it doesn't. You don't have to treat a veteran any different than any other client. Just I would say like treat them exactly the same. Like
mm,
answer the questions in the same way. They can talk to your preferred lender. They can talk to their own lender. They can. A lot of veterans go online and search VA home loan, and they get these online lenders. So when that happens, I would say stray away from that. Like try to talk
Mhm.
them out of these online lenders that tell you you're qualified for 300,000 and you're not, and then the listing agent gets mad, and this is when the misconceptions come in because
Mhm.
they're using an online lender. Um, so that's to me that's a big one. And then also it's LOs, loan officers, talking veterans out of VA home loans.
Mhm.
Hey, you don't qualify for this, but you qualify for an FHA, which
Mhm.
absolutely makes no sense. So if the veteran and the service members, especially like realtors, if realtors understand what it takes to get a VA home loan, then when they're either their preferred lender or another lender that they haven't worked with is telling the veteran, hey, go FHA or conventional, then that realtor understands like, hey, wait, like why aren't
Mhm.
we going VA right here? This is a veteran. Why isn't he using his benefits?
Mhm.
So the that educational piece for the realtor definitely can assist as far as having veterans use the home loans.
Okay, very good. One thing you mentioned about veterans, the misconception that veterans only want to work with veterans, I think that's a really good point. I think just consumers in general look for somebody with some kind of specialty or background, maybe in a particular area. And I think whether you're a veteran or not, you could probably get yourself educated on these topics. Am I right?
Mhm. Yes, ma'am. And that's what I'm saying. Like, know your job. Like, I would want to say, like that accountability piece I was talking about. It
Mm-hmm.
does take a lot. I totally understand that. Guidelines are constantly changing. This world is evolving. But it's knowing your job. Just know a little bit enough. When I look at, I've had new agents call me and say, "Hey, can you help me fill out like a contract?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I've seen, a million of them. Let's figure it out. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do research on my own. I'll look at the contract, say, hey, this looks solid. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it took education on my part of coming out of my shell and learning things that don't necessarily have to do with me, or hey, that's not my job. But I wanted to educate people and I want to be able to help. And just doing that little piece, definitely helps a realtor or helps anybody. And at the end of the day, we all just want, the client to get into the house. So
Mm-hmm.
let's do whatever we can together to get them into the home.
Very good. If you have questions for Carlos, please type those in and we'll get to as many as we can. But let's talk about some specifics on the educational opportunities because, again, whether somebody's tuned into this and they are a veteran or not, they can learn about how to help their veteran clients and customers. So, what are some educational opportunities that you have coming up for realtors, but also what are some educational opportunities that you have for veterans?
Okay, so we actually have HAR has a webinar coming up. I believe CJ, which is our president,
Mm-hmm.
she's teaching that course, and that will be on November 15th from noon to 1:30 via Zoom. And then there is also another upcoming HAR class, the Texas VA Home Loans, and that'll be on December 7th from 9 a.m. to 12. When it comes to VA rep and the type of classes and courses we have coming up, we're actually going. We're on the downside of our calendar just because
Mm-hmm.
it's the end of the year, and we are. We're going to closely publish our 2024 calendar. But some upcoming events that we do have, which we're pretty excited about, is a golf tournament that we have coming up next year. That would be toward the end of the year, and then we also have a crawfish boil that we're probably going to be doing around April timeframe. So those are a couple things that we have coming up, and then we do give excuse me. Oh, there it is. We do give a every second Thursday of the month. We give the most common misconceptions Zoom class, and that one's from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and that one is done by one of our board of directors. So that can be found in that link that you provided for the VAREP .net. And then if anybody needs to reach out to me for any of these, I can definitely help them out with that too.
Excellent. Well, we shared the links to both the upcoming webinar and the class that Carlos mentioned, and of course the VA Rep website as well. We have a couple questions that came in that I'd like to address with you. Janie asked, have there been any updates to the VA loan this year? So, are there any updates that took place this year that we need to be aware of?
Um, the only thing that what I've really heard of so far this year was appraisals. There are going to be some changes when it comes to appraisals, definitely for the better. I did an educational course at the beginning of this year, and they're looking at revamping the appraisal, the way that the appraisals are done, and everything like that. So there should be an improvement as far as timetables and things like that when it comes to the VA appraisal.
Okay, very good. Another question that came in from Zariah: what is the VA loan max? Is there a certain amount they will lend?
So if it's a first time home buyer or they have full entitlement, meaning they don't have a current mortgage with their VA loan, there is no income. I mean, there's no loan limit. The VA will. We used to have a loan limit. The VA no longer has a loan limit. So as long as they qualify, they can go as high as they want to, and the VA will back that loan as much as long as they qualify. Now, when it comes to if they have a VA home loan and they want to purchase another home, there are some max limits before they have to bring a down payment.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, there is no limit. So it
That's
can be as high as
excellent.
they qualify for. Yeah.
Well, and that sounds like it was an excellent change as well. And if somebody's looking for a second home or they're investing or things like that, then that's a different situation. But
Hmm.
that's an excellent update. Zariah said, "Wow, awesome, thank you,
No
very
worries.
good." So, if I'm a realtor and I'm working with a veteran client or veteran customer, we're just starting to kind of in the early stages of that client wanting to purchase a home. What are the first steps? What do you recommend that a realtor should do when they're working with a veteran client?
I would say reach out if you have a trusted lender that you trust that won't, that they're educated on the VA home loan. Just reach out to your lender. If that's your trusted lender, I totally understand how that game works. So, uh, but have a conversation with them. See if they understand, if they truly understand the VA home loan. And if you don't, then reach out to somebody that you know will. Reach out to either myself or anybody within VA rep. We don't mind, referring other lenders. We don't mind referring real estate agents, and we don't mind educating. If the lender wants to come and have a conversation with me, I would educate them on the VA home loan so that they can take that and put the veteran into a house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all we're tailored toward education. So if whenever a realtor does get a veteran and they don't, let's say they want them to work or the veteran wants to work with another veteran, you can reach out to anybody on the VA rep on the board or anybody that's a member, and we'll definitely put them in the right direction.
Excellent. Would you also recommend that maybe they suggest to their client to take the webinar that you mentioned earlier that you guys offer?
Absolutely. So any courses that like HAR offers or any that we offer, start to take those courses and have the veteran themselves take it with their spouse, and then the realtor themselves, they can take that course to refresh up on as far as what does it take to close a VA home loan.
Excellent. A couple more questions that came in that I'd like to take a look at. Where is it? There it is. Demetria said, "What is the max DTI for a VA loan?"
So they don't have one. So what happens with the VA home loan? Not to get too technical, but based on the file, so based on their credit, based on uh, their loan to value. So not every time it is 100% financing, meaning there's no down payment. But let's say the DTI is at 60, which is above any FHA loan that would allow. Let's say it's at 60, sometimes you could put 1% down and it'll run approved. So it doesn't have a max DTI like a conventional or an FHA loan,
Mm-hmm.
but you can get creative whenever you are into like the debt to income ratio that's above 60, that you're like, there's no way this is going to run, but you can get creative to make it run approved.
Okay, very good. Another question here. Linda said, "Can you use a VA loan for a pure investment loan, or must you dwell in one of the units?"
So if you have like a 1 to 4 unit property, the veteran has to live in one of the units. And now let's say they live in a single family home and they want to purchase another home with the VA home loan. They can purchase another home, but they have to make that new purchase their primary residence. So the home that they're departing would now become their investment property, and then the new home would now become their primary residence.
Okay,
And
excellent.
they have to live in the home for at least a year before they can make another purchase.
All right. Just a comment that came in from CJ, who you mentioned earlier. She said, "Active VA Rep Houston members can send an email to admin@varephouston.org to receive a one-time code $25 discount for an HAR class." So great tip there. Can VA Rep help veterans, or VA, excuse me, help veterans in their 90s? I know a veteran from World War II that could use the help.
Absolutely. There's no age limit for VA home loan. So anybody that's a veteran that's qualified, we could definitely help them out.
Okay. Couple is a comment and a question here from Mitra. I have increased the closing date to 45 days on my contracts due to appraisal that usually takes longer times. I have to explain to the seller agent that according to the contract, we can close before the 45 days. Since we do not want to request an extension, is there any way to improve getting an appraisal on time?
So that's one of the misconceptions, at least in my experience. I have yet to have a VA appraisal come in late and cause me to have an extension on a contract. Now I know during COVID, every appraisal was coming in late,
Sure.
um, but now like I've had appraisals come back in 7 days for the VA, and it's always that I always hear like, well, it took 30 days for the appraisal to come in, which again, I put on the loan officer. Are you checking up with the appraiser? Are you, did you actually get the appraisal and you just forgot to send it? Or did you forget to do a termite inspection and you're like, I'm going to delay this appraisal so that I can blame the VA on this because I forgot to order a termite inspection? Which I'm only saying these things because I've seen them as a processor.
Yeah.
I've seen loan officers do this. And this is before I got into, the organization I'm in now. So I've seen these delays and I see who they blame. So I don't believe that you should have any issues when it comes to the VA appraisals. And if you do, let us know because that's something that we can take and that's something that we can definitely bring to them and say, hey, we need some improvements here if that's the case.
Yeah, really underscores the importance of working with a trusted partner there. Tiffany said, will you briefly cover VA assumption criteria?
So the VA assumption, actually, I just learned a little bit about this myself as well. It's coming up a lot because a lot of veteran, even FHA loans, they have these low interest rates. Um, when it comes to the VA, they just need to be mindful that if another veteran is qualified for a VA loan, they can assume that it's loan. But if they don't have any entitlement, then the veteran that's departing that residence, that entitlement stays with the home. So they can't go and, I mean, they can purchase another home, but they may have to bring a big down payment because their entitlement's tied up to that home. Now, if the other veteran is a qualifying veteran and has full entitlement, they can go through the process of switching the entitlement over to the new veteran. But just be mindful that some banks, I've heard bad stories about some banks taking 6 months to get an assumption done because it goes through the servicer. So whoever has the loan is the one going to be processing that assumption. And I've heard it can take up to 6 months to do all of that. So just be mindful. It can take a while, but it is doable. Both veterans qualify. So.
Okay, very good. Susie, just a quick comment here from Susie said, we've gotten up to 70% DTI approved.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I've
that's great.
done a VA loan in the 70% as well, which is
Yeah.
a good feeling.
Demetria asked, what is the minimum credit score a vet needs to qualify for a loan?
So that's another one. There is no minimum credit score. Obviously, the lower the score, the harder it is to get an approval. Let's say they're at a 580. The debt to income ratio would need to be very low because it's just like any other loan. They want to make sure that this is a responsible borrower that's going to make their payments. So if you do have a loan that the veteran is like a 550, there are banks out there that will close a loan at 550 for veterans. Most banks or lenders will go down to 580, but that's not the minimum. You'll hear it all the time. That's the minimum. Like, no, it's not. You just have to find a lender that's willing to do it. So.
All right. Patricia said, just so I'm clear, there's no limit on a VA loan. I will be working with a veteran client soon.
There is no limit. As long as they have full entitlement, there's no limit.
Okay. Another question here from Zariah. My sellers went under contract and I got a call from the appraiser to schedule immediately. Does it matter if they are fully underwritten on the loan process to be able to get an appraisal quickly?
So it doesn't matter if the buyer's already been underwritten or not. Now, just make sure that your loan officer did their due process and they truly pre-qualified them, because it would be a bad day if the appraisal is done and then they come back and they're denied or they're not approved. So just make sure, as long as the loan officer did what they were supposed to do, it wouldn't matter for that appraisal to come back so quickly.
Okay. Linda asked, will they have to bring the difference from the loan amount and the purchase price?
So I'm a little confused. What would they have to bring difference between the loan amount? So yes, I mean just like any other loan, like let's say the home is 200,000, the appraisal comes in at 180.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any other loan, we can't lend more than the value of the home, so that that difference would need to be brought as a down payment. Yes.
Okay, very good. Great question here from Jessica. What other benefits can a veteran expect during a transaction?
In regards to like going through the VA home loan,
Mm-hmm.
um, really it just depends. Like we have some inspectors that say they'll waive certain fees, like they'll do an inspection and they'll do a free termite inspection on top of that for the veteran. So we do have a lot of real estate professionals that come out to our mixers and they say, hey, we offer this for veterans, and
Mm-hmm.
we do keep in contact with these people. So if y'all have any specific questions about inspectors, roofers, or anything like that. And then also, like when it comes to me, I like to speak with the veteran. Like I always tell them, I'm your loan officer, but I'm also your friend. Like I'm your veteran brother. So, if you need any mental health, if you need any help with getting VA disability, or if you need to be pointed in the right direction, I've met a ton of people, and I've gone through all this by myself, experiencing what it takes to get my disability and what it takes to
Mm-hmm.
do all these things, which have only benefited me when it comes to purchasing my home, because your disability takes away the funding fee. So I just look at the file and like, how can I help this veteran outside of this transaction? And then you'll be amazed at how many veterans are now like my friends. Like we still hang out, like we hang out and stuff. Like afterwards, like we keep in contact. So it just depends. I would say those are things just depending on who you work with.
Okay, very good. And I think people might be surprised the amount of benefits and support and discounts and things like that different organizations, especially like you're saying, local organizations, trusted partners in the area that you might see at networking events or things like that, they might be
Hmm.
offering discounts for veterans. So it never hurts to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Britt, just to follow up on entitlement, can you explain entitlement a little bit more? What is full entitlement? Is there partial entitlement? I'm not familiar with this term.
So full entitlement is just the amount that the VA is willing to back when it comes to the loan. A lender only wants 25% of that loan amount backed by the VA. Now, when you have full entitlement, meaning there's no limit on what the loan can be, the VA is going to back 25% of that no matter what. So if it's $1 million house, the VA is going to back $250,000 of that house. That's all the lender wants. Now, when it comes to bonus entitlement, which is they already have a primary residence using some of that entitlement, there's a calculation that the loan officer will have to do. I can't just explain it, but I have to do this calculation based on the remaining entitlement and how much the new loan amount is going to be for the new home they're going to purchase. And if that calculation comes back at 25%, they won't have to bring a down payment because the VA is going to back 25% of it. If that entitlement comes back at, let's say, 24%, then the veteran will only need to bring 1% of the loan amount so that the full 25% is being backed by the VA.
Okay, very good. Um, Per your comment earlier regarding replacing a new VA loan from a previous VA loan, are there any fees or penalties since that previous property now becomes an investment property?
Well, no. So it would just be like if the departing veteran is purchasing a new home, even if they're not going to purchase a new home, there would be no penalties or anything like that. There are fees associated with it, just like any other, like a refinance or anything. The
Mm-hmm.
lender will have fees for that assumption, and it's just based on what loan or what or what bank has that loan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, there's no penalties or anything like that when it comes to an assumption.
Okay. Question here from CJ. Are there VA loan benefits for 100% disabled veterans?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 100% disabled in the state of Texas, you no longer have to pay property taxes. Outside of saving like 400 plus dollars a month, we don't have to qualify you based on your property taxes. So what that does is it gives you more purchasing power because we don't have to add the taxes to your loan, and then you get to save money. Being
Mm-hmm.
100% disabled here in Texas.
Excellent. Another question here from Stefan. Can you discuss tax benefits for veterans with disabilities? So you just mentioned that a little bit. Is there anything additional that we need to know?
So based on your disability rating, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but for example, let's say you're at 80% disability, the VA will give you tax cuts for your property taxes. At 80%, there's a bracket to it. So like at 80%, I believe it's $15,000. So what they do is whatever the county has you appraised at, your home appraised at, they'll give you a $15,000 tax break off that appraised value, and then they'll tax you based off your rate, and then you get to save, a few $200 a year just based on your disability rating. And this, you can find all this on, like, if you just Google Texas VA disability tax breaks, it'll actually have all the charts and everything like that as far as how much they save. But when we do qualify you based off the full taxes, and then you would have to go with your county and let them know, hey, I want an exemption, a tax exemption based on my disability.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So tell us, how can realtors get involved with VA Rep and real estate professionals? How can they get involved with VA Rep?
So if you visit our website, we have a local chapter on there. You can see the upcoming events we got coming up. We will publish that here soon on the website. We do have mixers, educational courses, some in person, some via Zoom. And then we also want active members. So what we do is, as far as our mixers and everything, it's just to have a good time. We want people to come out to meet us, to understand, we truly care about education.
Looks like Carlos froze there just a second.
Hello?
There we go. Yes, you're back.
Okay. There you go. We want anybody that touches a real estate transaction to get educated on what it takes to close a VA loan. So yes, those are the big things as far as if anybody looking to get involved with us. And like I said, this year our main focus is having active members. So like I said, when it comes to the golf tournament, when it comes to the crawfish bowl that we want to have, we want members to get involved. We want members to say, hey, I know a veteran company that will be a great spot to have the crawfish boil, or I know I have a local friend or a local, lender or somebody that is willing to participate in the golf tournament or anything like that. We want active members getting involved, coming to the mixers, having their say, so that, we do all of this together. It's not just the board of directors, making decisions.
And do you have to be a veteran to join VA Rep?
No, ma'am. So we actually have two of our board members are not veterans. They just have a kind heart and they love giving back. We still actually do have one board position still open. We have some committee chairs and committee members that we can take on. So if anybody that's veteran or not, they want to reach out and see what we do as far as the leadership roles that we have, they could definitely reach out to us so we can have a conversation.
Excellent. Well, Carlos, you've shared so much great information this morning. I know I'm looking forward to that crawfish boil. I'll be looking for that info when that comes out. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience today?
I think I stated it already, but I would say it again. Just educate yourself on all on all loans and all products that are out there. Whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a loan officer, it's good to know everybody's job. That's something you learn in the military. You're supposed to know your job and those around you. So if something happens, you pick up the slack, or you educate yourself like, hey, I know what to do here because I've learned that piece. So the VA home loan has a smeared name when it comes to, the type of products that are out there, just because of, people that have been in the game and saying that it's not a good loan. To me, the VA loan is the best loan on the market. There's no minimum credit score, no down payment, no mortgage insurance. How can you beat that? So just the education piece, like, let's get out there, let's educate, and let's get veterans into homes.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for your time today. You shared some great information. People are thanking you in the comments. And of course, thank you also for your service. We truly appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. No worries. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, that is it for this Member Focus Monday. We will not have a Member Focus Monday the next 2 weeks, as we're taking a little time off around Thanksgiving holiday. But we will be back on December 4th at 9 a.m. We'll see you then. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.